Well, hey folks, I'm back today working on my dream garden tractor build. I got my old pal Bill here, and I'm gonna combine him with an old Yamaha snowmobile. I'm just kidding, John Deere tried to do that back in the 80s and they weren't that great. So what we're gonna do today, we're pecking away at this thing a little bit every day. I've worked on it 28 days straight now. I'm gonna take you along and show you what all I've gotten done, no matter how little or how much it is, and we'll just see what all we get done by the end of this video. The first thing I'm gonna do is strip down my donor tractor, Brutus. I wanna talk about a little bit of the differences between the John Deere 316 and the John Deere 318, because some folks wondered why I would take one perfectly good working tractor and tear it apart to build up another tractor that doesn't work. And that's a good question. We're gonna get the engine stripped back out of Bill so we can get everything all ready, prepped for paint, and work our way closer to getting this thing reassembled and put back together. So hopefully you'll stick around and join me, see what all I can get done this time.
Dig Dry DIY.
All right, it is day 20 and we just got done with a shakedown test on this. And you know what, actually after I let it set a little bit, I did discover a leak. It's right up underneath the battery, so I'm gonna get a chance to get that fixed up. I wanna get Brutus out of here, get the last remaining value pieces off of him, and I don't know what to do with him for sure. I'm tempted, part of me wants to put the other engine back in Brutus, but I feel like that's just a waste of time. I should probably just get rid of it. So we'll take a look at Brutus here first, try to strip what remains of any value. And this is a perfect example of one of those things that was meant to be temporary and it wound up being permanent. Now I run rear hydraulics on all my little John Deere tractors because my grader box that I pull has got a hydraulic cylinder on it. For this one, rather than plumb into the spool of hydraulics where you're supposed to, like it's on Bill there, I'll show you, I just hooked into the front set of remotes, and that's one of the differences between the 316 and the 318. It only has one set of hydraulics in the front, whereas the 318 has two. But I just plugged in there and then ran a set of hoses back and then stuck them out the back. So I'm gonna have a more permanent solution on the new build. So Bill's got the hoses routed back here, but I haven't got them mounted up, so I'll need to make a bracket for that. But this is where they tap in on Bill. You can, I don't know if you can make out the T down there. There you can see the T. That's where I've teed into the actual spool. So when I would spray the yard, I have a nice 3-point sprayer that gets mounted on one of these tractors. But anyway, that's what this hose was for, was to hook my front tank into the sprayer on the rear. There we go. I'm going to remove the 3-point hitch. Okay, this tractor, this is another option that would have been available. This right here is a lockout valve, and you add it to the rock shaft cylinder, and what it does is you can turn this on and off. So I used it mostly in the off position because I wanted the hydraulics to go to my pull type grader box, and I didn't want the oil to flow into this rock shaft cylinder to raise and lower the 3-point hitch. So I would turn this off with the 3-point hitch in the up position, and that would restrict the oil from trying to go into this cylinder. It would prioritize your rear attachment. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this over from this tractor to the Bill, to the new Bill. I won't need it as much though, because I have the circuit for the grader box is going to be my inside lever, whereas the 3-point hitch will be the outside lever. So I won't be trying to do them both at once, but it was important on this tractor. This is good too if you have some front attachments that you want to run with the front remotes, like let's say a snow blade, a 4-way snow blade that goes up and down in angles. You can lock out this rock shaft with this so that your 3-point hitch isn't trying to go up and down every time you want to angle your snow blade. That's what that's for. I have really been struggling on like what to do with this tractor, whether to scrap it out, just forget it, or put it back together. I was thinking about putting the engine back in it and like reassembling it, but that's the opposite of what I think should be done with this tractor. It leaks, the steering has been broken and I've welded it together. It's really wouldn't be a great tractor even if I put a bad engine back in it. But part of me so badly wants to just put it all back together so I can have a complete tractor, but then what am I gonna do? I need to just get rid of it or strip it the rest of the way down. But for now, I'm gonna put it on a pallet, think about it, maybe get your opinion on what you think I should do. I'd be happy to give it away, but there ain't hardly much to give away either. Got it in the face. That was nice. A little cologne. You didn't think I was gonna forget about the gas that's in this tank, did you? It's probably the most valuable thing left on this. Oh. Not a lot in there, but there's probably 2 or 3 gallons. Let's take Brutus out back. All right. Well, sadly, Brutus has been put out to pasture, and now I'm going to move forward with trying to get Bill up to snuff here. The shakedown test revealed a loose hose clamp right here. You can see it's not very tight. So this is an easy fix when you're doing it now. I would have hated to have it all painted up and done and then have us spraying all over the place. So I think this is gonna fix that problem. That was really loose. The other trouble I had was that the ignition wasn't turning off completely with the key. It would take it a few seconds to die. Something ain't clean about the power down. So I think I ran into that trouble with the other tractor, and I have a solution for that because I found all my old notes from when I wired this up the last time to the last tractor, and that has really helped me to figure out what to do on this one. So, you know, this isn't a tutorial on how to install this, so I'm not going to go into that, but just know that if you swap an engine in here and someone hasn't done the kit for it, you got to figure all that out. You got to figure out the ignition and the voltage regulator and the starter circuit. There's a lot to figure out. Okay, I have made some wiring changes that I think is going to make it shut off with the key, at least I hope. And if that works, then I think the engine can come back out. And will it shut off with the key? Instantly. So this starts better than Brutus did. Brutus always had trouble starting. Everything works like it should. It starts better now with that starter improvement kit in line. So I feel confident taking it apart. I'm actually going to start it and run it around outside. Power steering works good. So I want to go ahead and change the oil in this, but if I drain it right now, it'll run all over the axle. And that's one of the reasons why the oil didn't get changed too frequently. All right, so I'm gonna see how quickly I can get this engine out of here. Go. All right, that was 16 minutes start to finish to get the engine out, and that wasn't too bad. Now I can get at the oil, and I'm gonna drain the oil. So hopefully I can come up with an adapter to thread into there, move it 3 inches this way, turn it down, and then I can drain it from the bottom on the tractor. Because the last time I changed the oil, I remember now, I went ahead and just let it run all over the frame and underneath the engine, and that's why this thing is coated with oil, I think. Think I can do this by hand? Oh yeah. I love the spin-on filter. The Onan has a spin-on filter too, but it's not as easily accessible as this one. All right, there's the oil all drained out. I'm gonna go get some parts and a filter tomorrow. That part of it will be done. And then, well, we're gonna move on to the frame. But now it's time for supper. It is day 21, and today is one of those days where, you know, I didn't do a lot. I took the drain plug with me. It's an M14 by 1.5 millimeter thread, and I was hoping to relocate this to 3 inches like I wanted to. I didn't find anything at Napa store, but I did get a new oil filter, got a new fuel filter. Not a big day in terms of a lot of work done on the tractor, but I was thinking about it, and I did stop at the store to try to get some parts. Any day that you can engage a little bit is a good progress day. Hey, it is day 22, New Year's Eve 2022. But so here's a package that I think is tractor related. These are some new rims, some new used rims. So these are the rims and bearings from an early series 420, which is the big brother to the 300 series tractors. And what's different about these is the offset and the width. All right, look at that. This is still an 8-inch rim, but you can see how much wider it is. And these are gonna be better for those Wetterstein tires. This way they don't balloon out real bad by trying to put them on stock 318 rims. I'm really excited to get these mounted up. These were sandblasted and painted. I found them on eBay. This is my dream garden tractor. This is what I've always dreamed of having, was these, even though I've had these tires for a long time. All right, that's enough for today. Better go bring in the new year. All right, it is day 23. And it just happens to be the first day of 2023. It's funny how that worked out, but this day we have other plans that do not involve this garden tractor, so I have to come up with something quick. I can get this new oil filter installed. So here's the old filter. I'm just gonna rub the gaskets together and get a little oil on this new filter. So I got the new oil filter on. Happy New Year. I guess even if it is late. All right, it is day 24, and I'm starting to think about paint. Now, that brings up a good point. I had some folks comment on my last video, and I've had a tremendous amount of comments, by the way. One person suggested in regards to the paint that I should leave it be like it always was, like Bill was. And there's part of me that's really close to wanting to do that too. But then I thought, you know, I've always wanted to paint one. I've always had this idea for painting one, and why not? So I'm gonna do it. I'm still gonna paint it, and I'm gonna paint the back sides of these. They have a cool look when they're patinaed like this, I think. I think they look neat, but. So in that last video, lots of people were guessing on the color scheme I want to do. I've been trying to sort out how I'm going to like reveal the paint idea that I want to do and show it, you know, in a video. Like, how am I going to work on this and start painting parts without you knowing what the colors are going to be. Especially when I paint the back. That was cool. Day 25, a little bit more of the same. But you know what? I got to thinking. I was reading some of the comments last night, and there were some really good questions about why are you taking the engine out of what looks to be a perfectly good tractor and switching it over and putting it in another tractor that looks identical to it? That's a pretty good question, so I thought I'd take a chance and at least explain that for you. So why did I take the engine out of a perfectly good running 316 and go to the trouble of installing it in a 318 that looks exactly like it? Well, if these tractors were pickup trucks, the 316 would be a stripped down XL model, and the 318 is the premium package with all the options. Most noticeably, the 316 does not have power steering, and the 318 does. It's not a big deal so much for mowing, but if you want to carry heavy weight on the front, or you just want the comfort, the power steering is really nice. The 318 has 2 sets of hydraulics, and the 316 only has 1 spool of hydraulics. 2 sets of hydraulic ports on the front are needed for certain implements like a 4-way snow blade, plus the 2 sets help when you want to run a set of hydraulic lines to the back of the tractor and isolate that rear implement. The 318 has independent rear brakes, whereas the 316 only has a single brake. Left and right brakes can really help you to turn when you don't have enough traction at the front tires, like if you're on a slippery surface or if there's a lot of weight on the rear of the tractor lifting up your front end. This can also help if you're spinning out and the differential is only allowing one drive wheel to turn. You can hit the brake of the wheel that is spinning and it will transfer power to the other wheel and make it spin instead. The 318 has a transmission cooler and the 316 doesn't, and when you work a tractor as hard as I do, then the cooler can really help to preserve your hydrostatic transmission. And finally, there are a few other minor differences that really don't affect performance, but like the lack of electric tail lights on the 316 or the absence of a selectable fuel switch that gives you some reserve fuel capacity like what's on the 318. So there's some of those option items too, but the 318 is just a better chassis to build up if you want to make your ultimate dream 300 series John Deere garden tractor, in my opinion. The 316 is great and it's a very capable tractor, but I had the stuff to do all this anyway, so that's why I chose to do it. Hope that clears it up a little bit. There isn't much left of this. Can't get it off there because of the steering wheel, and I don't want to take the steering wheel off. I'll have to try to paint that in place. All right, it is day 26, and I'm actually kind of in the middle of another project right now, so I'm down to doing just the bare minimum on this thing. I need to take the gas tank back out so I can get the frame ready. I haven't stopped on this, but like we said, some days you're gonna get a lot done, and other days you're not gonna do much at all. We're actually leaving to go to Texas in a few days, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do about that. I have an idea though. All right, well that gets me through today. Back onto the other project. It is day 27, and there's a lot of other stuff going on in the shop right now. It's been busy. I got chainsaw tore apart that I'm working on, but I wanted to check something here. I need to get this hour meter out of here. If I had a spin tight for that. Does anyone else call these spin tights? That's what Dad calls them. This is probably metric, and all I have are standard. Boy, I never use this green one. 11/32. That fits on there. Busted the end off. 1,628 hours. I don't know what purpose it's going to serve even when I get it apart, because I'm not going to. Am I going to put this hour meter in with 1,600 hours? It doesn't mean it. I should get a new hour meter. So in the course of doing this, I decided I wanted a new hour meter. I busted up. The plastic was all broke out anyway. That's why I wouldn't hold it. It was all broke where I was trying to get the stud out anyway. Go up on my toolbox. Bill's hours when he died. All right, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Day 28. Coming up on a month of working on this thing. So I think that I'm gonna take the 3-point hitch off and it'll make it easier to paint. I won't have as many obstacles and it'll probably be better if I painted this by itself. You know, these 3-point hitches, they were a factory option. This is a category 0 3-point hitch. The 3-point hitches were pretty expensive. Even when I first got into these tractors back in the mid 90s, these things were only 10 years old and the 3-point hitches still brought about $500. So fortunately there's just some 5/8 pins here in the bottom and you can take these lower draft arms off pretty quickly. I usually run with the 3-point hitch off anyway unless I'm going to need it for something, but to pull the grater box I usually run without the hitch on. But I got these draft arms off. Actually, I'm going to call that a wrap for this video right now. I know I don't have a lot done on it, but I'm just pecking away a little bit at a time, trying to deliver you a video at least once every 2 weeks on this thing as I work on it. As you watch this, we've either just gotten back from Texas or we took a week off and you missed us for a week. So either way, I promise in the next video there's going to be some more action on this. We're going to talk about paint. I had a lot of people guess the correct color that I want to paint this. It was the majority of the choices, and most of you are on to me for the color. The name, on the other hand, we've got some decision making to do, and that's another thing I'm going to talk about in the next video. We got the name, and I will reveal the paint color in the next video. So I want to thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Remember the Alamo. It's cool how much history is here. It's been fun?
Uh-huh.
Very fun.